And we are live. Sorry about the little bit of a delay there. Just had some issues with YouTube, so I had to refresh it all. So it looks like we're streaming now, so that's a good thing as usual. Yeah, hope everybody had an awesome trading day today. Just want to take a look at a couple different things. We've got, of course, the S&P is down after hours now. We had an interesting day today. It was gapped up, and that was the thing this morning where I kind of looked at it and I was like, okay, all right, I get that we're gapping up, but I went through basically every news story I could find on on Wall Street Journal, Barron's, Bloomberg, you name it. I was checking it out, right? So trying to see what sort of news we had that was gapping us up this way. And there was nothing. I mean, like the only headline they could possibly that they'd made up basically, and that they tried to attribute to the market gapping up today was the Brexit thing, like that the EU and agreed with the Brexit deal and all that stuff. But then there was such like a negative tone to it anyway, like that it would take Parliament wasn't going to agree to it and all that stuff. So I was like, there's nothing really that is gapping this market up other than just pure, technical moves, right? I mean, it was just we finished, on Friday with a half day, and it just kind of gave like a lot of compression, right? That just expanded in the morning, right? I mean, so you had, some short squeezing, they like to play games, market makers like to play games and squeeze out shorts. And then, so the idea is like, are we going to fade today? Are we going to fade tomorrow? Could have taken that inside 60 down under the VWAP, but it was only for 266 down to, so it was only what, 60 cents on that one. I mean, I guess you could have taken a little bit further down here too. So, I mean, you could have made a point on this buy today. But, not too directional. I mean, honestly, it was pretty choppy. I mean, really the range today wasn't that big except for the gap, right? So it makes it look like it's like, oh man, S&P was up 4 points. Well, I mean, it was up, 3 points just on the gap, right? And then, so trading wise, it was actually a pretty choppy day today. So, so hopefully nobody got really, chopped up in any of that stuff. Anyway, just wanted to kind of talk about that. And then, where are we going from here? It's kind of the idea. Interestingly enough, right? So everything was kind of like, drifting up, and the algos kick in the afternoon and start, buying everything up. And, it's like you wonder if it's just they just do that just to fake people out so they can get in, go long, try to hold it overnight, and then doosh, right? You get the Apple tweet out, Apple's down 4 points, right? Because, it looks like there's going to be more tariffs and all that stuff, and, no deal like with China, blah, blah, blah. So, so we got that to contend with, but it also, keeps the bearish sentiment, kind of intact, right? So you don't want to get suckered into moves like this just because it looks like it's going up, because it could be a fake out, and until proven otherwise, right? We're still looking at, lower highs and lower lows, right? I mean, so we just need to see where it's going. And again, this could be wave 1, 2, and then still working on a wave 3 down on the S&P, which should be equal to or greater than the wave 1, which means we're looking at, just to kind of show you real quick. Boom. So that's that one. We'll duplicate that. Duplicate trend line. That, and then so move it there. So eventually, you would expect to at least get down to 243, right? Which is actually kind of funny because it kind of, if we break below this median line of this pitchfork here, that would actually put us at the bottom end for testing the bottom of the range, right? So anyway, all very interesting stuff. Let me go over game plan in a second. Let me get this goofy trend line off. Okay, there we go. All right, cool. So today there was stuff to trade, right? So a couple things I tweeted out. Just we had lows today. Double inside day strategy, right? Went double inside day on Friday. Today it gave a couple different ways that you could have traded it, right? So with the market, it was what do we do, right? So double inside day, we gap up, right? And then if we trade short to reclaim the range, right? So, it came up, came down, and then you short into here, reclaim the entire range, hit the bottom of it, right? And then came back up. You could have traded it back to the upside, right? Or just waited to get over the VWAP and trade it from there. and then it broke out again, and now it's well over that area. So we'll see how it holds that tomorrow. So that was Lowe's. That was one that was out there. Let's see. We also had Best Buy, and I didn't get a chance to even look at this one today, but let's see how it did. This one gapped up. This one you don't want to chase. It just gapped up, never came back in. So that was not really tradable today. And then let's see, what else do we have on the list? We had, Medtronic. Let's see what that did. The stock is boring unless it's not. So let's see if it was or not. I didn't even look at this one either. Look at that. All right. So this one actually, interestingly enough, yeah, because I saw an alert this morning that said it was below the double inside day down. So this one gapped down, right? And then you could have just traded it as it came back through the range here. So you would have traded it here at about, what is that, 91.71, and it went all the way up to 92.51. So you could have done almost a full point trading up there, right? And remember, when you trade into the range, your first target is the halfway mark or the VWAP, right? And then once it breaks above it, then you move your stop to the VWAP. But this would have been tough too, because your stop would have had to have been way down here, which is not fun, right? That makes it less than a one-to-one risk reward. So I tweeted out today I had a bad trade today on what was it, Walmart. Yeah, it's just I know things plan on going up. I tried to get a good position on it today, then the market got really weak, and I just went ahead and got out of it. It was really light. I still like it to the upside. It gapped up, came back in the range, and then I tried it, and then it just came back even further. So I just got out and just didn't deal with it. It's a tough one to trade. I wanted to try to get the best position I could and not leave it on the table, and I decided to get out of the trade and try again on a better setup. I just didn't have a lot of strength when the market was. It looked like it could have gone, and then it just kind of stalled out. So, but anyway, hey, not all of them are perfect, right? So, but that's why we limit our losses, right? So we, if you're green, stay green, and if something doesn't look right, just get out. And so that's how I handled that one today. We had I mentioned Wells Fargo the other day, double inside week. It's still double inside week. It hasn't done anything yet, so it's basically cooking a triple inside week, so we'll just keep an eye on it. The idea here, right, again, is if it breaks to the upside, then you want to get maybe 52.5 call spreads to the upside. Again, I prefer, right, always prefer planning a trade with a high, better, where your reward is going to be higher than your risk, right? But sometimes if you're, in a situation like me, and you can't monitor your trade all day, you want to give it to the week and then hopefully be successful. High probability trade on, you may be able to handle. So we have those. A couple of inside weeks tweeted out, and yeah. So I mean, but mostly, my I kind of go into the pitchforks and all that stuff. Most of these were just interesting to watch today. I mean, a lot of them just kind of came up and tagged this pitchfork resistance here, and then was expecting most of them to come back in, and then interesting enough, we get the tweet at the end of the day, and look, Google's down almost 10 points, after hours. So my guess is that it's got all these have further downside that were tagging that top range. Microsoft is interesting today with Apple going down. Microsoft became the largest market cap company in the world, which is kind of interesting. So gapped up today, kind of made its way up, kind of meandering up here to resistance. So we'll see if Microsoft puts in another pivot and then comes back in too. So there just has to be some really, really major, strong, awesome news to come out to change the sentiment of the whole market. It doesn't seem like tariffs are gonna, are going to be the easiest thing coming around. We got a lot of issues going on. Earnings have been, lackluster, and it's just tough for me to even think about buying any sort of dip right now. Although of course I will, if something good happens, right? If there's a good setup. So Tesla today had an awesome morning. I tweeted this one last night. If it couldn't hold, if it couldn't break down, it looked like it was poised to go back up, and it was basically based on kind of this area. So we looked like we might kind of hit this 320 reaction line, right? So if it came down, it looked like it was going to go there, then possibly bounce. This one today just kind of just went off the rip, and so let's see how that looked. I mean, just that first hour just never stopped on that one, and then just kept going, which is pretty crazy, but is what it is. So, you could have traded this on the 30-minute orb. I think I had it on the orb list. Yeah, it was on the 30-minute orb list for today. So you could have traded that. The high of that was 332.87 here, and then you could have just traded that as it broke that to the upside, and just kept moving your stop up. It was good for, let's see, 332 all the way up to almost 10 points right there. It's 341, and then if you took it all the way to the end of the day, 346, right? So if you left a little bit on there. But yeah, so that was the game plan 30-minute orb list. So we've got those ones there. So I'm going to keep Tesla on again tomorrow on the 30 orb list because it's just getting a lot of action, right? I had a huge move today. I think it's definitely worth watching again tomorrow. Apple obviously moved to the 15-minute orb list. The Hilton, HGV, and UTX are going to be on it, and then we'll see what the news has tomorrow. And that's pretty much it. So I'll after we're done, I'll put the game plan out there, and I'm just kind of keeping an eye on Twilio. It's going to be on the list. It's had kind of a big boost today. I'm looking to possibly go short on this. I feel like we've already done a wave 5 top here term type attempt, but we'll see. I think it'll be on the game plan, not necessarily trade. And that's when I say try it, it means try it if it makes sense, right? Try it if there's a decent setup on it, a good hourly setup or something, and then Intuit too, as well. Went down to the hourly. Looks like we're possibly in an my guess would be is a break below the 200-day could see some further downside movement. So we'll see on that one. Yeah, so it kind of reviews the, kind of gives you a preview for the game plan for tomorrow, a little review of the game plan for the day, and just kind of look ahead and see what today's movement means. And so honestly, just like in summary, it means nothing really. I mean, it was it was an up move today. We gapped up for no reason whatsoever, except for just being compressed on Friday. Probably a lot of maybe shorts covering, so a little bit of a squeeze there. And then, interestingly enough, right at the end of the day, right after the market closes, some big negative news on the Big Apple or on the Apple stock, and market's back down again. So I mean, we're in an opposite time as back in 2017 where it was buy the dip. I mean, now we're definitely in sell the rip, right? So I've got no real reason to go long on anything except for like maybe a scalp or something like that. So. Intraday. So that's just basically my sentiment on the whole thing. So at this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, you can go ahead and just type them in the chat window. I'll be happy to pull up a chart. We'll take a look at it. What I'll do is I'll go through it on all the different time frames, the major ones, so monthly, weekly, daily, hourly, and then I'll switch to the bar charts and maybe do like a pitchfork on it and maybe a quick down and dirty, kind of Elliott wave type thing, just to see, kind of get some direction. Big crowd tonight. I really appreciate everybody, checking it out and all that stuff. So, I do this just because it helps me. It helps me stay focused on, select group of stocks, and then it also. I benefit from it not only by doing that, but also getting ideas from you guys that I may never have thought of before. So, hey, what's up, Scott? Okay, so we got Vive. Yeah, Vive was your idea from the other day. Let's see how that turned out. So you liked it to the upside. It looks like it was up 2 points today, so that was good. Let's take a look. Interesting. Look at that. Look at how it took that reaction line right here. So this is the Andrew's pitchfork, but he also developed the action reaction method, right? And we talked about that on a video a while ago. And Paul had a question, or not just a question, just generally how to draw those reaction lines. So I could review that real quick right here. I mean, all you do, right, is, so let's say you do a pitchfork. It's best, I think, to do it from that pitchfork line. So you got your pitchfork here. These are two major pivots, and it goes through a pretty big line. So all you do is you, you build a channel, right? You start here, and then you find another pivot. So the action line, so a prior action, right, would give a reaction, right? So, so let's just pick this pivot here. And so I like it when it goes through multiple pivots. So it goes, high to low pivot type scenario. So this one here is really good. It has a high pivot here and a low pivot, kind of there. So let's try this one. And then you get that, and then duplicate, and then you bring it down here. So there's another potential reaction line, right? So, just pick the major ones, the big ones. Otherwise, you got too many lines everywhere. But look at this. So, right, it comes down, hits the, breaks down, pops down below the median line, bounces back up. And look at that. It's just climbing right up that reaction line. Isn't that amazing? And then, so now we're up here. So had a good up move today. It is outside of the resistance zone. So it needs to either put in, some sort of topping tail quickly. Otherwise, this thing, could continue going, right? So, so we'll have to see how far that goes. So that was a good idea on that one. And there was some news this morning on, I can't remember if it was Amazon or something like that. Something about something really positive for cloud computing. So this was, had some good news on it too. Amazingly with the, with the technicals. So, let's take a look. Just the daily bar closed. Yeah. See, that looks pretty strong. You've got volume here and a hammer over. This might be breaking out here. So the next actual resistance area, what you do is you go from here. You draw a fan line to there. Right? You just extend it out to the right, and so there you've got your final resistance area off of the pitchfork, and it's also called like a trigger line, or I'll call it like a trigger fan line, so because it's your fan off of those pivots, and then so we'll see how it behaves there. If it gets here and then comes back in, or if it gets there and breaks out, I mean, it's going to have, definitely like some further upside too. So looking good. Short in a week, tape looked super. Yeah, it got a lot of kind of momentum today. Just Microsoft, just because, as Apple was going down, right? Microsoft made headlines that it was now like the largest market cap company, ousting Apple on that. And so I think people were like, all right, let me get out of Apple and throw some in Microsoft. So yeah, so Microsoft had a pretty good day today. Would definitely be worth looking to the upside. It's down a little bit, so we'll see. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Obviously we're gonna probably be gapping down unless something stellar happens. So we might actually see some sort of inside day tomorrow potentially. But yeah, so yeah, it had a pretty good move today. That was a good one. Mohammed, what's up? What do you think? What's going on with Apple sell-off? Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much doomed, man. I mean, honestly, it's got a long way to fall, right? It's got some major pivots, 159, 147. I mean, it could go as low as it can. I mean, if people start unloading, I think the worst news that could happen to this right now. This was just the reason that it's down right now is because of tariff news, right? After after the market closed, there was the tweet that it was going to have, Apple's going to be affected by tariffs, and then it went down, and of course it's on the S&P, the Nasdaq, and the Dow, so that automatically brings all those down. But really, we talked about the fan lines, right? And so we've got this pitchfork that we did the other day here, and we fanned it out, and this is look at how it's been traveling perfectly down this fan, and I don't see why it's not possible. But Warren Buffett, comes out and says we're out, right? Because remember way back when, like they propped it up. It was I can't remember. It was a couple months ago. But Warren Buffett, somewhere like in here or something like that, he took a big stake in Apple, and I wouldn't be surprised if if he comes out and says we're out. And if he says that, I mean that was a big catalyst for Apple continuing to go up. If you hear that news, this thing it could get below 100, right? So just keep an eye out for that if you see it on the news. I think it'd be kind of cool actually to see it, but it is what it is. What's up, Paul? Yep, hey, my pleasure, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for bringing it up. What's going on, Lieber? Netflix couldn't get traction, but seemed to find support. Yep. Yeah. So let's pull up Netflix here. Um, Netflix of all of them is actually one of the weaker ones, right? I mean, it had some move today, but I'm just look. I mean, just look at the bars. I mean, I've been kind of just tracing these out on the monthlies, right? It's taking out this pivot right here. Next one is this one. The next one is this one, right? And then so it's taking out this last pivot here and it's staying below it, right? So that's on the weekly, but you can still see it here, right? And so what happened is I've got this pitchfork here, which worked really well, showing the median area, right? Worked as resistance here. Then we had the medium line here, broke, came back up, and then failed, right? And then failed through the trigger line. And so it's been below this trigger line for 1, 2, 3, 4, like 4 or 5 days in a row, right? At 240 or below. Absolutely. So yeah, it's doji here. Granted, it engulfed the entire day yesterday, but not the just the top and the bottom. And again, it's off of the 5 moving average right here, which is pointing straight down. So it hits that and comes off of that. It looks like it may slowly move down here, right? But I think it's going to happen sooner than later. So that's Netflix. Paul SOCL. What we got here? Global X Fund social media ETF. Nice. That's honestly, man, it's the first time I've seen this one. I like it. Yeah, looks definite downtrend, right? As you can imagine. So red month, it did come up, a bit here, but it's still red. Put in a hammer week. So let's see, it had inside week here, right? Inside week here, and you see why the strategy works out so well when it breaks the inside week to the upside. If you just do your calls or put spread on the halfway mark, your risk reward is rough, but you have a really high chance of it working out. Like so, especially if it might even close below, right? So here it did, there it did, there it did, there it did, and then here, right, inside week a couple weeks ago, broke to the downside, but it definitely closed below that halfway mark, right? So try to put in a hammer, try to put another hammer. And so now this week is sort of, drifting along. That's today. I imagine, at least in the meantime, Apple's probably going to bring down, the other social media type stocks. Twitter had a big day today for whatever reason. I think it's a good shorting opportunity for Twitter. Might have to wait till it gets like to 33, maybe even 34. But I think long term, to me, unless Twitter just really, really gets going, is it's looking a little rough. But here, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, kind of lower high, lower low, maybe setting up a lower high, type thing here. Again, gapped up with kind of the other guys. Was that inside? 5E3. A4 didn't quite go inside, but it did give a decent reversal bar here, so it's definitely one to look at for the opening anchor. And then let's go ahead and see if we do a pitchfork on this thing somewhere. I got a daily. Here. Tough one. I mean, it's just so downtrending. It's really tough to pick anything. Golly. That looks pretty good. Kind of good. Let's take a look at a couple of different ideas here. Maybe. Tough to say. I mean, if we're looking at it this way, we're kind of, we're breaking out. So we need to see, we had some strength today. There's no doubt about it, right? Everything gapped up today. Twitter was up. Facebook was up, so is it ready for more strength, or is everything going to bring it down? So this is definitely one to keep an eye on. So, yeah. Scott, IQ looks like it's coiling. Looks good for a half point on a break. Pitchfork it. Okay, so we've got IQ. Look at IQ. Okay, for some reason not working. Yep, so IQ. Okay, red month, red month, red month. All right, went green on the month, so it's turning green. That's a good thing. Hammer week, hammer week. $4.45, kind of doji day. And then there you go, up to 60. So, yeah, definitely worth watching. I would at least watch it for the open. Trading off of this 60-minute anchor, right? And we've talked about the anchors before. This one inside 60, which means it's a point of indecision, right? Anytime a bar goes inside, and then it wants to find direction, right? And so we're under the VWAP here, so we'll see what we do. We're probably going to gap down to any real sentiment on this thing at this point, except for obvious downtrend. Downtrend. You know, I don't know how far down it could go. It has to do something to set up some sort of corrective phase to the upside, right? So you know, we could look at. You could do the obvious pivot here. So you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe. We could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is your wave 1, impulsive wave down. And then, you know, we could be in the middle of like a wave 3. I mean, I just don't see this thing getting, I mean, it just had earnings that were supposedly pretty good and it did nothing, right? So I just don't think it could get any catalyst. But yeah, for like a scalp or something like that off the 60 anchor, I would say there's definite possibility for it to move one way or another. Can I get up? Thank you. You got 3 lines here, so you know, just keep an eye on it, right? See if we can get above, you know, one of these levels here for potential break to the upside. So yeah, that's a good one. Definitely want to keep an eye on. So yeah, good questions. If anybody else has any other you know, stocks you want to take a look at, just kind of bounce some ideas off. Otherwise, you know, we kind of get the idea of what we're looking at. You know, overall, still, you know, pretty bearish sentiment. I mean, obviously, I'll trade something long. You know, if there's something good on the market. What's up, Yellow? You're welcome, man. Appreciate you. And yeah, so you know, if we get something good, some good news to the upside, you know, we could, you know, might get some rally phase, right? At which point, if we finally get a Santa Claus rally somewhere, that'd be great. You know, we'll trade stuff to the upside. So, but in the meantime, just you know, I'm just skeptical about any move up. Just like today, it's like why would you go long overnight or something like that today when you've got who knows what kind of bearish news could come out next, right? So until stuff really starts correcting itself, you know, you still got a little ride below, I believe. So yeah, great. Really appreciate everybody tonight. So lots of great stuff, great chart requests, and again, if anybody has any questions later, just go ahead. You know, feel free to tweet them out. Or you could check out the replay of the video and just put something in the comments that goes to my emails, and I'll reply within the comments, and you should get that pretty quickly. So yeah, and I'll put the game plan out in a little bit, so you guys can track that, and then I'll tweet in the morning out any new orbs that I see from interesting news, type thing. Oh, UAL. Let's see, for a seasonal trade. Yeah, I mean if that's how you like to trade, I mean these airlines have been doing pretty good relative to the rest of the market. Let me see. Let's take a look here, see what we got. If this was gosh, this is really complicated on the daily. You know, we've got some kind of divergence here on the RSI. See that? So this may be some sort of extended, you know, some sort of fifth wave up. So I would just be careful with this, right? So anytime these things like hit these new highs, right, just use a lot of caution, right? So not seeing a lot of volume coming in on these new highs. It just seemed to kind of drift up a little bit. So let's just say that this is, you know, possibly a wave 3. You know, from where though? Let's see, 1. That's really tight there. We have to end like a 4 here. I'll just be careful trading this one. So I'm just skeptical of anything too long. I think that obviously the real move is over here, right, from here to here, and then there to there if you're patient enough to hold through there. But I would just be careful going long for any long period of time. on this one, because if we do hit if this is a 5, and let's say it extends up, right? Let's just say here we had like a 1, A, B, C, 2, and then this is a 3, 4, 5, right? So we would have, let's just say, best case scenario. Now we got. I'll get that right one day. So best case scenario, if it's 161.8% of your wave 3, I mean, a 10-point move would be great, right? So that there is a potential for it to get up. There's a potential for it to get up here, right, and then come over. But you don't know also if it's kind of done, because it could be from like here, right? If you do it from the wave 4, which is more common, now you're 161% here, which is we're really close to, right? And it doesn't usually work out exactly, so it might get a little more upside because people are like, oh yeah, let's go along, and then it's like, oh, okay, corrective phase, right? So just be careful. Just be careful with that. Like I said, it could be. I mean, it could go another 10 points, certainly. Good stuff, guys. Really appreciate some of these charts. Yeah, I didn't even look at the airlines. I think I looked at AAL the other day. That looked good too. So appreciate you bringing that one up. Other than that, like I said, just send me a tweet or comment in the YouTube, and even if you're watching this video from days ago or something like that, go ahead and you put a comment in there, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. You're welcome, Lieber. Appreciate you, man. All right, y'all. Well, have a great night, and hope you guys have a great trading day tomorrow. And just have a plan and trade your plan. And once you get green, stay green. Don't stay in a trade too long if you don't like it. And just do your best to keep learning every day. Right? New things. Don't get frustrated. So, all right, awesome. Have a great night. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.